Is Wuthering Waves just better? Well, considering I'm a wooer Andy, I'm probably going to say yes, but in comparison to what? Let's check it out. Is Wuthering Waves just better?
So someone linked me this the other day, and they were like, "Hey Sticks, what do you think of this? This guy, he quit Genshin Impact and went back to Wuthering Waves because apparently Genshin Impact now just feels so bad to play. What do you think of this?" And I was like, oh, okay, I'll take a look.
I actually haven't been back to Genshin since I played Wuthering Waves, and I'm kind of expecting to have the same problem myself. I have a lot of issues with Genshin, but I do really like Genshin as well. I'm super far behind on it compared to a lot of people. You could probably call me a noob. I'm a good few, well, a lot of hours behind, really. But just playing Wuthering Waves, how good the combat is, how good traversing the world feels. One thing about Genshin is traversing the world just feels so freaking ass. It's an absolute chore. Daily quests, I hate them. I hate Paimon as well. I think everybody hates Paimon. And if you don't, you're crazy and you're coping. She sucks. But yeah, I'm really like, I don't want to go back because I feel like I'm going to, because Wuthering Waves has just kind of done that to me, I think. I'm like looking at everything else and being like, it just doesn't hold a candle to it, which is on me because I shouldn't be doing that because there's different things to enjoy from different games. But obviously, Genshin and Wuthering Waves is, let's face it, a copy of Genshin. But in my opinion, it's a better copy, at least in terms of all the mechanical side of things, in my opinion. It's ramping up the story. Voice acting definitely needs to get better. And I want to see some more world building. But yeah, I'm a little bit afraid to go back because I think I'm gonna hate the way the game feels.
I'm curious why he thinks Genshin feels bad to play. Chat, before we get into this, okay, let's take bets here. Why does Genshin Impact feel bad to play after playing Wuthering Waves? Why do we think that's the case? Do we think it's due to the combat being too slow? Do we think it's the fact that you can't use your grapple to grapple up? Do we think it's a fact?
Straight away, see, I think everybody's got the same issues that have come over to Wuthering and enjoyed, been a Wuthering enjoyer, have maybe become a bit of an Andy. I see that combat, traversal, two of the biggest things in my opinion, and I think the Wuthering just does way better.
The fact that you can't wall run. What do we think? What do we think?
Right. Anytime you see a freaking wall or a cliff in Genshin, it's just like, well, guess I'm going round. Where in Wuthering Waves, it's like, easy, bro. I got this, Even on a super big freaking cliff, it's like, I can just take a break part way up. I'll find a little area. I'll find a little ledge. But we're getting up there. Where with Genshin, it's just like, dude, I guess we're on the long way around now.
I think playing Wuthering Waves does to the average Genshin player. Movement, traversal, and combat. You can't wall run. Movement. Okay, this video. This
hydrate, you bastard! Hydrate!
Views. Yep. Join me every Friday and Saturday at noon EST over on Twitch at Sticks and Mrs. Sticks.
Guys, it is Kaido. I wanted to talk about this very specific thing because I jumped back into Genshin after playing Wuthering Waves for a straight up week. I haven't touched Genshin for like 12 days and they even missed
That's what WoW does to you, man.
Me or something because I got this please come back event. I actually get a bunch of primogems here, as you can see. But what this video is actually gonna be about, oh my god, I just triggered a freaking cutscene. Oh my goodness. What I want to talk about in this video is Wuthering Waves kind of ruined Genshin for me because Genshin just feels so bad to play now.
That's just outright. Wuthering Waves ruined Genshin because Genshin.
I think I'm gonna feel that when I go back. I'm going to try my best not to. I am genuinely. When I go back, I'm going to try and push it to the back of my head. But I think I'm going to really struggle to do so because I've just had such a blast with Wuthering Waves. Like, I'm really enjoying Zenless at the moment. But I'm still having that itch every day to go back and play Wuthering. I'm getting on off stream just to do little bits and pieces. It's usually late at night, so I can't do too much. But we are going to get on it. We are going to get on it today. If we don't get on it within this stream this afternoon, we're getting on it later. The itch needs to be scratched.
It just feels bad. All right. Okay.
To be fair though, for a lot of people, I think Genshin's been feeling bad for a while, hasn't he? You know, a lot of the people who were proper Genshin fans, much more than I ever was, have been having, you know, a lot of issues with the game for quite a while now. Now, it might not be actual the core mechanics. It's a bit of everything else. But I definitely do think Wuthering's showing up the core mechanics in Genshin now are quite aged, really, aren't they? They're showing the length of the teeth, really.
I'm sure he'll elaborate on why. By the way, I love his eye patch.
All the gameplay mechanics, all the more refined movement, the more refined combat.
Oh yeah, definitely the movement. As you guys noted, the movement is 100% a major issue. I think it's one of the selling points of Wuthering Waves. Everything just feels so much more fluid.
It feels way more action and impactful than Genshin Impact. It's kind of made this game worse for me. And this is
traversal in Genshin. It's just like moving through molasses. It's just such a slog. It really is. It was anyway, but we was just exacerbated there.
Probably something that many other players feel right now when they jump back into Genshin. The combat is more advanced.
Yeah, there were so many threads made on Reddit. Like, I just can't play Genshin Impact anymore after the combat in Wuthering Waves.
In Wuthering Waves, you have intro skills, outro skills, you have perfect dodges, parry, you have so
See, it's been that long since I played the game. His character's kind of hot though.
much more in-depth combat. Every character feels like it's its own class in an MMORPG. It's so unique. It's so...
I do actually also think that Wuthering Waves has phenomenal, like, class identity. I think every...
Big agree on that. We definitely need a new healer though. There needs to be a reason to not have Verena in every single squad. That's my biggest problem. There's other issues, but that's probably my biggest problem regarding the combat in Wuthering Waves at the moment. You just need, well, you don't necessarily need it depending on the content, but if you're going in with a healer, you need Verena. You know, you could take Boiji, but she's just better. She's just so freaking good at the moment. We need another healer to come in that's maybe scales on a different stat, whether that's defense or their element or whatever it might be. But we definitely do need another healer to come in to maybe switch the meta up a little bit.
Character feels like really unique in Wuthering Waves.
And challenge-seeking players will feel...
Dog's just staring into my soul.
right at home when they play Wuthering Waves. And Genshin is kind of a more...
Dude, you know the Inferno Rider? The very first time I fought that was such a metal fight. I absolutely loved that fight. It was one of those moments playing through the game when I was like, dude, this game is actually legit awesome. I remember when that fight started, I was just like, this is dope, man. Fucking metal as fuck.
Simpler, casual approach.
Hate fighting that dude. Hate him. Dude's just too big.
It's no secret.
Easy, but just annoying.
This game is just way more easier than Wuthering Waves than anything else. Genshin could never. Everybody says it all the time.
Mechanically, it is easier. It's got content that can be difficult, but it's just down to your characters, really, isn't it? Or lack of gear, where you do have DPS checks in Wuthering Waves, but there's just that extra element of the action skill to the game in terms of learning patterns, the parries, the dodges, switching out your characters, which obviously you're doing Genshin, but it just feels all the more skillful. It definitely takes a lot more concentration and skill, for sure.
We get like 150 free pulls for Wuthering Waves on the first week. We even get daily free pulls if they do.
Well, and we also had 2 free 5-star selectors, right?
Fixes. It's insane, to be honest. I want to go away from this negative...
Wait, you think Wuthering Waves animations feel janky and cheap? Really? Okay.
Okay. That's an opinion that I actually haven't heard from anybody, because I disagree. Big gap. But, you know, that opinion. But yeah, man, definitely don't see that at all. The game's super fluid. The combat's tight as well. And the animations, some of the animations that they've gone to in Wuthering Waves are actually like kind of a little bit above and beyond. Even just when you're scaling walls, that like little flip that you do sometimes.
Why? Why is that? Challenge? Yeah, challenge in a gacha game. Yep.
Mindset about Genshin. It's fantastic now that we have a competitor right now. And that never was...
Hold up. Dog's trolling me. Alright, let's get back into it.
It's the case. So
nope.
Genshin...
Well, no, there was a competitor. Tower of Fatal to see. It was a competitor.
Every single video The more I hear Sticks hate on Tower of Fantasy, the more I have to try it. I want to try the game anyway, but I swear to God, every single video he gets an opportunity to mention Tower of Fantasy, the dude is just straight up savaging it. So it just makes me want to play the game more and more.
Editor for all of 33 minutes.
Laid back for a really long time. The developers, I think, they were sitting on a throne with a bunch of money, okay? I feel like this game will still make a lot of money, to be honest.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
so
for
many
sure.
players, this game.
It's going to take quite a while for Genshin to start to drop off. It's dropped off, but, you know, that big fall. And I think they're smart with bringing out Honkai Star Rail and Zenless. Not only are they there to continue making them money themselves, but as I said, it's like Zenless to me. It's a game to keep people in the Huyo ecosystem. You'll finish playing at Star Rail for a while. You maybe go back to Genshin for a little bit. Maybe actually spend some cash and kind of bounce around the 3 games, and then whatever more comes out in the future. I think that kind of hold each other up a little bit, because you get that itch to go back and play the other Huyo games.
Is so polarizing. It's so approachable for every type of audience.
Well, honestly, also Genshin. I feel like Genshin's also approachable to a lot of audiences. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Waves is a little bit more,
it is,
I
yeah,
guess,
definitely.
advanced for advanced gamers. I think it is also a fantastic game.
I wouldn't say that Wuthering Waves is for advanced gamers, really. It's an action RPG. You know, in the gacha space, I'd probably call it an advanced game, because it's like Genshin. It's a full game with a gacha system attached rather than being a gacha system with a game kind of built around it. Although the game is obviously built around the system. But, you know, it's a full game. It's a full action open world RPG. But in terms of being an advanced game for advanced gamers, I think that's a bit cap, really.
For players that wanted more out of Genshin, or players that got used to playing Genshin and want just more challenge. I think Genshin is a really good starting point for gacha players. It is fantastic as beginners. Many players, it's the first time playing a gacha game ever. I just feel like the developers could actually make this game 100 times better
The little girl skipping behind him as he was saying that.
than it is.
I don't think that's ever going to happen now. The game's 4 years old. It's made crap tons of money. The game is just going to have consistent updates now, I think, really, just to continue not milking the audience, but, you know, getting cash out of the audience that's there now. Zenless is out. Star Rail's kind of the new star girl, isn't it? You know, it's the main attraction. And I think soon there'll be, obviously, another main game for Huyo, whether it's another game like Genshin, or the talks of an MMO, which please somebody do a good anime MMO. Just do it. You know, I don't mind the gacha elements being there. Kind of like the idea of that. Just give me a good story, cool characters, cool raids, a great systems. I'm here for it, man. Like, I've been waiting for Blue Protocol for the longest time now, but it just seems like that's going down the pan, and it might not ever happen for the West, which sucks so bad. Every time I see that game, I'm just like, I want it.
Right now. If you jump from Wuthering Waves playing Genshin, you will feel the huge issues it has. First of all, this thing that you see right there. That's
stamina.
Yeah.
He's gonna say stamina.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Well, not the biggest thing. It's the biggest thing within traversal, minus the climbing of walls and stuff. Because in Wuthering Waves, you only take or eat at your stamina. When you're dashing, sprinting, you can just sprint. And it's lovely.
Stamina is a major issue, I think, in Genshin Impact. I loathe stamina when sprinting.
I don't even understand
that should not
as well.
be a function in a game.
What
you
it
should
is.
not consume stamina while running around the open world, especially when you don't have mounts.
a stamina bar.
There we
You
go.
are literally not
Stamina's fine in games, but not in these kind of games. Open worlds suck when you're held back by movement nerfs via stamina. It just blows, man.
in combat. You just want to run and go get to the next point. And the world is huge, guys. The world is like 3 times bigger than Wuthering Waves or something, because the game is just 4 years old.
Yep.
Wuthering Waves just came out. Yeah, this game is so big, and this stamina bar is one of the most annoying things ever. And they
is
could
super
fix this
frustrating.
issue so easily and give players a better experience with this. I think it is just an annoying thing. Why don't they just steal from Wuthering Waves now that Wuthering Waves basically stole everything
For
about
real though.
For real, it's a quality of life improvement. They've done it. It's evident that everybody likes it. I don't think there's a person on the planet who's like, nah, dude, I like the stamina. I like to be able to, only run for a short period, and then I'm totally out of breath, and then I get to climb in a big wall and I'm falling off because my stamina just sucks. Like, it's just a quality of life ad that just needs to be put into the game. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. Like I said, I don't expect things to change majorly to Genshin. It's 4 years old now. It's probably coming to the end of its life cycle soon, really, I would think. I don't know. Maybe it'll be still around in a few years. That's just a small thing that could easily be changed.
Genshin.
For real though, look how good that looks though, right? My god. Even being able to like vault over obstacles was such a cool addition to world exploration and world interaction.
Flip animation.
No, I think these developers could literally just compete like that. Get rid of all the annoying things. Make climbing faster. Why not just...
It just looks so cumbersome when you see the characters slowly climbing as well.
These great ideas that Wuthering Waves has and make an even
Spider-Man
better game out of Genshin.
baby.
Well, honestly, that's what Tower of Fantasy did. They put the little jet wall running boots into the game after Wuthering Waves showcased their wall running.
Did they? I didn't know that.
Get inspired
Dude,
by
I need to play Tower of Fantasy, man.
Simple things. I don't know how many hours I spent just climbing and falling down because I was out of stamina. It is such an annoying thing.
Yeah.
It could be...
Yeah, for real. I can count maybe on my one hand, the amount of times that I've fell off a cliff or a building in Wuthering Waves from a lack of stamina. And that's been my own fault for the most part, because there's been plenty of times to jump onto either a ledge or grappling up and just forgetting to do it to make the actual climb and falling down. So it's been on me as well. But yeah, the amount of times I remember doing it in Genshin and then having to just go around, super annoying.
Fixed so easily. Now I know we could also talk about Netland coming up, and maybe these issues will actually be fixed by using Pokemon or whatever they are adding into the game.
Yeah,
in my honest opinion,
I was gonna say
what they did is they
like mounts.
stole again from Zelda. If you think about it, Zelda Majora's Mask had the same system. You put on a mask, you turn into a different monster, and you have different abilities.
I love Majora.
Will it kind of work how it does in Throne of Liberty then? Because you kind of turn into the mount in that, don't you? Rather than actually riding the mount.
Monsters can dig into the ground. I think Zelda even had something like that. We get monsters that can use a grappling hook into the air. That's pretty cool. We can be Spider-Man with a little Pokemon. And what was the other thing? Diving into the water and lava and stuff. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm just really scared.
Yeah, it did. It had a frame of reference to improve on and make better stuff. Yes, 100%.
This feature is...
I think too many people as well, when games do take from other games, take elements, mechanics, design, quality of life, let's just see it as, oh, that's just straight up copying. Like, I'm totally cool with games copying from other games if it makes the game I like and that I'm playing better. I don't know why people have got such an issue with that as well. And that sometimes, obviously, there can be internal conversations going on with developers that stop these. But I definitely do think that some dev teams are a little bit afraid to do that sometimes because of the idea to where people are, that's just straight up ripping that off, dude. It's like, end of the day, it's a better system. Just stick it in the game, man. If it's going to make the game better, end of the day, that's what everybody wants.
In Netland only. I think this is such a bad idea. Make it available in the whole game.
Wait, that's only going to be available for now on, really?
More fun in the whole game and not just one freaking zone. And players don't want to be annoyed playing the game.
What?
I get it that there has to be a balance. Struggling is a big part of players' experience. It should be in the game. But I also feel like there has to be a balance. And right now the balance is very off. The balance between rewarding a player and annoying the player, it is off. That is why the Genshin movement, the Genshin could never movement exists in the first place. Players that played Wuthering Waves, they know now what's wrong with Genshin. I get people in...
Dude, I don't even think you needed to play WoW to know what was wrong with the movement in Genshin, personally. That was always a thing that I had an issue with from day one. It's just going to Wuthering. You realise how much of an annoyance it is, really.
My chat coming into my live streams and they ask me, do you think
they should remove stamina from Genshin? They should, yeah. I hate stamina.
Wuthering Waves is too generous? By the way, join me on my stream.
Is Wuthering Waves too generous? I think with all the freebies Wuthering Waves definitely gave out, that Kudo gave out for Wuthering Waves, it 100% impacted their total revenue. That
Definitely. I think there was a little bit too generous personally. I've said this before. They've gave so much that they just didn't need to. But at the same time, in my opinion, I'm not bothered about how much Kudo make, as long as I make enough to keep the game going and keep reinvesting and keep bringing out new content. Of course, they're going to want to make more money, but, you know, it doesn't really fuss me too much. I just want a healthy game with a healthy ecosystem. But at the same time, you know, I do think they have maybe not shot themselves in the foot. I suppose they're looking at the long game. The more generous they are at the start, the more likely they are to bring new people in who maybe think, well, you know, I can get some free stuff now. And it's that same old thing, saying the age-old thing of you get a little taste of it and you want some more, you know? So that's really something that I think they're going for. But I definitely do think it removes the potential for some people to have been spending.
That is 100% objective truth. If they didn't give out so much, people would have had to spend more. People spent less because they didn't actually have to spend money to obtain the characters that they wanted. So yes,
Yeah,
they were
definitely
very generous. Was that a detriment to them in terms of revenue? 100%. But at the same time,
yeah, perfect example, me. I didn't have to spend to get Jinsei. I failed my 50-50, but I got enough stuff that they've been giving us that I was able to roll again and then pull out. I have spent money on the game. And that was mainly to, well, really, it got me Gian. Because I did fail my 50-50. Did I fail my 50? No, Gian's the only one who I haven't actually failed my 50-50 with, actually. It's everybody else. But yeah, I would have probably spent money to get Jinsei, but I got so many free pull material that there was just no need to. I got so much asteroid from them and bits and pieces here and there and free pulls that it was just like, sweet, and get it for free. But that's also made me want to potentially spend more because I feel like I'm getting a little bit more out of it.
and by rewarding players,
but not everybody's going to think like that.
They built up this mass content creator collective and millions of players that now love and adore them. So was the short-term financial hit worth it?
That when they talk about the mass content creation, I don't know. I definitely do see a lot of people making content on Wua, but I'm in this space, I guess. But I don't think it's as big as we think it is sometimes on YouTube and on Twitch, if I'm honest. I think it will start to build up. I do think it will start to build. I think the next update will, if it's a massive update and we get a new, really cool, large area, I think that's going to be a big thing. I said that I think 1.1 and 1.2 are really going to be the factor that decides whether Wua is going to be successful rather than 1.0. It's the same as Endless Zone 0, in my opinion. I don't think this initial launch is going to decide its fate. The next update and potentially the one after that is really going to be the one that decides whether it's something that goes on to be successful or just kind of becomes a middling title for them.
Yes, 100%. It helps them retain customers. Exactly. It builds a rapport with them.
Twitch.tv/Kyro_TV.
It has with me.
Is Wuthering Waves too generous? Is Kuro Games giving us too many rewards? Is it spoiling their players? This made me think. Why are people asking me this? Because shouldn't this be the norm?
Yes.
Isn't that how developers should actually reward their players for playing their game? Most normal thing that a developer should do. And I think Kuro Games just nailed the head on it. Compensate the players.
I think there's, well, they've compensated a lot of us sort of had no issues really though. There's got to be a balance with it. If a game's free, I don't think it's on the developer to reward you with things that would cost money within the game, because I am a believer of if a game's free, I don't really care about microtransactions unless they're taking something out of the game that you can buy to put it back in. So I don't really care about that personally. But I do, you know, there's that fine balance for it really, isn't that? There really is.
Apologize, fix issues. This is the normal thing to do.
They're just throwing around asteroids for everybody though. Like you get some, you get some. You didn't have an issue in your region. but here's some anyway. I'm like, it's like, okay, that's nice. Thank you. Appreciate it. But I think it's a little bit too much.
Giving free rewards, giving a free 5-star.
I don't think it's their responsibility to do
don't
that.
just give us like, 90 primo gems or like 180 primo gems. No, give us a full 10 pull.
They're just not used to this. They are shocked by how generous a video game can be. And if you look at Nikkei, if you look at other gacha games, it's a really normal thing for being this generous. They give like...
Yes, Nikkei gives hundreds of polls for their major anniversaries and half anniversaries. Blue Archive does the exact same thing, hundreds of free polls. It's crazy. Other popular gacha games often reward...
The thing is though, Genshin hasn't ever needed to do that because it's been making so much money with the status quo. Why would they need to do that, really? People have been spending so much cash that they don't need to tease people and give them tasters. It does make sense in a business sense to give people a little taster. You know, that's why companies give out free tasters for food, because you get a little, nice. Might buy some of them, you know? It definitely works, so it is a good point.
Reward their players for playing. Not Genshin Impact, though.
Like
but I don't think Genshin have had to.
Just as anniversary rewards, give away free characters all the time.
End of the day, a lot of these other games and companies are biting at Hoyo's ankles, aren't they? So they've got to... What is it when it comes to business? You need to be first, you need to be best, or you need to be cheaper. And I think these other companies, some of them might have been first, but let's face it, Hoyo has probably been the best in terms of cornering the market and giving out real quality. So a lot of these other guys have to be cheaper, and they'll be cheaper by giving you free stuff because the game's free anyway. So they can't reduce the price, but they can give you little tasters here and there, can't they?
Every update, there's other games. Maybe Blue Archive, I heard, is pretty generous.
There we go. See,
there's a bunch
even
of other
he
games
knows
that
Blue Archive.
Right now. Just let me know in the comments. Genshin players just don't notice because it's the first gacha game, and they have been spoon-fed by Hoyoverse with 30 primogems, with web events, with watching 4 hours of a live stream to get 60 primogems or 30 or 40.
Real?
Oh god, oh no. Oh, that's horrible.
Such a low amount, and it's so bad
Gives
for
you
the
more
game,
gems?
for being
Okay.
greedy.
At that point for me, it's like, what is even the point, dude? You know? It's just like, what's the point? Just drop the primogens altogether and just give you mats within the game, because it's almost like, it's kind of insulting almost.
Being just a bad
But
company,
again,
not
they don't
talking
need
about
to, do they?
feedback, not talking about issues that the game have, not fixing characters, not balancing characters, not making the game more fun itself.
That's why I like Star Rail. Star Rail's way more generous in that sense compared to Genshin.
Not adding end game that people actually want. People actually want to play the game. There's nothing to do in the open world. One of the biggest issues, the beautiful, beautiful world. I want to do something in there.
To be fair though, that can be said about a lot of open world games. That's one of the biggest critiques of a lot of open world games, isn't it? We were speaking about these yesterday when we were talking about the first Descendant. For quite a few years, do you remember that all the devs were coming out and they were advertising how big the world was in terms of like square miles? That's gone away now because bigger doesn't mean better. We were getting these bigger and bigger and bigger maps, and they were just getting worse because there was just large areas of nothing in between POIs, which didn't improve the map. And it kind of made it worse because it made the map not intuitive. It didn't feel immersive. It was just bland, flat a lot of the time, and boring. So I think that's a critique that most open worlds games could get. I do think it feels more lived in Wuthering Waves, but again, the game is newer. That's probably not an excuse, really. You know, visuals, that sort of stuff is an argument to be made. But in terms of designing the world, but yeah, it does feel very empty and boring. But I think as well, a lot of that comes down to the traversal. It makes getting around a chore. So I think the world's kind of designed just to be, it feels like it's designed just to be a pain in your ass, really, to get to the actual action.
Wuthering Waves fixed this issue. They have this big open world and you can do something in there. You can farm all.
I mean, yes, technically you can farm echoes, technically you can do hologram bosses, technically you can do the open field bosses, but I mean, at the same time, he does make it seem like there's more to do in the open world than there really is, because once you...
I agree, exactly my point. I do prefer the way Wuthering Waves does it, but at the same time, it's a critique that all open world games get. Once you've done so much in the open world, it just gets to a point when there's nothing to do, and then that open world kind of becomes a negative in the game because it's just a larger open space to get from the small content that you've got left to do, if that makes sense. So you can only fill it with so much, can't you? Otherwise, it would take forever to develop the game. But I do think the traversal makes a massive factor in getting around that world as well.
To farm them a few times,
it just kind of becomes
the same thing. It becomes a repetitious, fairly arduous process. And once you've cleared this stuff, like, then what? You kind of don't have anything else to do until another major patch introduces more open world stuff. So I don't think there's necessarily like an egregious amount of more open world content to do. I do agree there is more to do in the open world technically though.
Day for echoes. And what do you do in Genshin? You explore, you 100% the map, you're done. You opened all the chests.
Again, though, that's kind of similar to what you do in Wuthering Waves. It's just you've got the echoes, haven't you, really? And it's more interesting to get about. Like I say, I think that's the major factor that makes it feel better. Because, again, all open world games suffer from this.
You're done. You don't have anything to do anymore. It doesn't pay off anymore to go back to the old zones. When was the last time you guys jumped to the old zones again?
I think the only one that didn't, in my opinion, is probably GTA. That's just because how, like, alive GTA 5 feels, you know? That it doesn't matter that if you've kind of explored and I'm talking about the single player part of the game here. Obviously, you got the multiplayer and stuff. You can just do nothing in GTA because it feels so immersive and alive. Red Dead Redemption's the same as well. You know, you might have done all of the things you need to do and the points of interest and the little bits here and there and the secrets and whatever it might be and the quests and the story. But it's still fun to just go around doing things because how well designed it is. I think that's a major factor. That's the only way you can improve open world games is you have to make it more immersive and feel more alive. And of course, I don't think gacha games are going to be the game solving that problem, really.
Because I wish that this game can improve and will improve in the future. I'm really looking forward to some changes in this game.
I'm sure Genshin will definitely improve.
I want them to fix some of the issues that
I think they'll only improve in slight ways. I think we'll probably see some quality of life things added to the game. But I don't think we'll see major changes. Is the desire really there from Huyo? The game's been out for a while now. Does it need that? You know, like, I guess people who play Genshin probably would like that. But I don't know if it needs that. Are we going to see Huyo pivoting? Well, we've already seen it with Star Rail. Are we going to see them pivoting towards something new? Is there going to be a Genshin 2 or a spiritual successor in an MMO or something like that? I don't necessarily think it needs. It would be cool if it did, but I don't think it necessarily needs all these massive changes. I don't think it's ever going to get that second wind that compares to the initial rise of Genshin. I just don't think it's going to happen again.
Especially with Wuthering Waves as a competitor, Arknight's Enfield, Project Mugen, Azure Premilia all coming out. There's no Coomer.
Yeah. I think they have to come from the ground up now to compete with all those new games. I think they have to come from the ground up. They really do.
Oh god, there's no content. I'm so bored in Wuthering Waves right now. Yeah. So that was my point. You know, it's no different really because you still have to move from patch to patch. Wait for patch to patch to come out.
Many players have by getting annoyed. Simple things that could be fixed so easily. Now they're adding more endgame now, and maybe we see some more changes in the future, especially in Netland, which is kind of disappointing for me because I thought Netland is gonna be a dark war zone. Everybody's fighting each other, and then I see this trailer where there's literally Pokemon turn into.
Hey, come on, it's Genshin, man. You know, it's a game where all the males are twinks, all the girls are super bright, and even the slightly dark characters are super bright. Now, look at Wuthering Waves. You got freaking Sephiroth, you got Jian. The chicks are just more, apart from like Verena, really, and a couple of characters, everybody's just a bit more, I don't know, it just feels a little bit more adult, doesn't he? Rather than like kind of teeny bopper. That's what Genshin is. It's a teeny bopper world, isn't it, really?
To a monster.
I did see that.
A cute monster. But let's see how it's going to turn out. This was just one of my opinions that I wanted to share with you guys.
That's not a bad thing, though.
I will probably
like bright,
switch back to
games.
Waves, where I don't run off stamina all of the time.
God, I hate running out of stamina. Can they just remove that from Genshin? I genuinely hope they don't have that in Azure Premilia. From what we saw in the gameplay from Azure Premilia, it doesn't look like they have a stamina system.
I hope it doesn't. It doesn't benefit the game in any way at all. It doesn't add to any systems that they can monetize, unless they do try and monetize stamina, which if games do that, then they can suck. And that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about in terms of gameplay removed and sold back to you, where it's bad microtransactions in a free game. Because I'm one of them. I'm really I'm easy on transactions in a free game, as long as it's not removing stuff from the game. And if it's PvE, I don't mind if it gives people benefits and fast tracks them, because that's up to them if they want to push through the content quicker. In PvP, different story. But as long as they're not removing fun parts of the game and making it a slog and frustrating and just worse, and then they sell that back to you, that's when I have a problem with it, because obviously the game's worse and you're having to pay to have fun, which is okay if I'm buying it as a box price. But when you're making the game actively just unfun and it's something that I'm having to repeatedly buy to keep having fun, that gets frustrating.
But we'll have to wait and see.
And get annoyed by it. Okay, thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more Wuthering Waves, Genshin, and Toyo...
Ua's overworld is more interactive. The enemies and monsters fight each other. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I agree. The world is definitely more interactive.
Worse content. Make sure you stick around on my channel.
It's nothing new though,
subscribe.
that isn't really.
I see you in the next one. Bye.
Really only one world, one love, but the battle goes on shadows of mass.
All right. No, I completely agree with what he was saying. 100%. He was spot on with his analysis of why it's difficult to go back to Genshin Impact.
I'd agree with pretty much everything he said apart from the open world element. Even though I do agree that I think Wuthering Waves world is more interesting than Genshin's and does feel a little bit more populated with things to do. It's not a massive difference. It's not like something that's like, look at this, it's night and day. I think a major factor that makes it feel better to get around in is because the traversal and the movement is just way better. So I think that makes Genshin look worse on the surface in that element. But yeah, I think all open world games suffer that fate. Whether the story, single player, offline, MMOs, whatever it might be, it's an issue that haunts all open world games, probably apart from GTA and Red Dead.
Impact after having played Wuthering Waves.
All right, good video. Reacting to somebody else's content. But yeah, I agree with most of what he said. I think it's all stuff that's pretty obvious as well, really. You know, the subjective stuff between Genshin and Wuthering, you know, regarding the combat. I prefer the combat in Wuthering Waves. I think that's definitely subjective. But I think when it comes to like the stamina and the movement, I think it's, you know, I can't see how there's many people arguing that Genshin's system is better. It's just more of a chore. And when you're in an open world game, it's important that getting around is fun, isn't it? Because if it's not, then it really makes the open world element of the game a bad part of the game. And at that point, what's the point in it being open world? Because it's taken away from the actual game, isn't it? It's taken away from the quality. It's taken away from the fun. And at that point, it's like, might as well have, you know, a semi-open world game or instances or something. But yeah, is Wuthering Waves just better? My opinion, yeah, in some places. But I think Genshin smashes it in music, voice acting, dialogue, the writing's better. Hopefully, they're all things that are going to massively improve in Wuthering Waves. I hope so. And I think they will. But I think in majority of the other elements, in my opinion, I think Wuthering does a lot of that stuff better. And I think that's, you know, it's not like it's something that's a hot take. It's a newer game. It's been able to look at everything that Genshin's done right, everything it's done wrong, and kind of just take all the positives and leave all the negatives. You know, it's an evolution, isn't it, really? You know, Genshin paved the way, and Wuthering Waves has kind of just took up the torch, really. So, yeah, I think I agree for the most part. Wuthering Waves is just better. Should check out Sticks as well. And let's, who's the dude who originally made the video? The OG video
hey, what
as
up,
well.
Guys?
Because we're both looking at his content, really. So, yeah, show some love to Kydro TV as well.